Welcome to Through the Eyes of a Lion, a Slingshot Media podcast that dives deep into the mindset and stories of individuals who have faced the fiercest challenges and emerged victorious. I'm joined as always by my brother, Coach Jay Smith.
Yo.
This week we have two very special guests, head coach of the Anderson High men's basketball team, Coach Eric Swanson, and legendary hoops training AAU director, best-selling author, Coach Stephon Leary. How we feeling, gentlemen?
Great, man. Looking forward to it. Great to see you guys. Great to be here.
Appreciate y'all having us.
Absolutely. I know me and Jay have had a lot of mentors. In our last couple episodes, we talked about various things. We talked about mentorship. We talked about strength. We talked about Coach Leary and Coach Swanson, other coaches who have had a huge influence on us. And, how we just came out of a practice with Coach Leary where we were coaching the young guys and the older guys. And, I felt like I was being coached. And I was recording the video, and I felt like I was hyped. I was ready to go. I was ready to go. And I feel like the most important thing that I heard you say that Jay always emphasizes, like, there's the game of the score, score of the game, there's the game of life.
That's right.
And I think for all of us, especially those kids being really impressionable, like, influence does a lot on them. And I feel like in today's world, influence has a kind of a different word with influencers and social media and stuff. So in the context of basketball, my first question for you, Coach Leary, and then Swanson is, What does influence mean to you in the context of the game?
Wow, influence. That's one of the best words, I think, in dictionary. For me, it's a very important word, because without that word of someone influencing my life and influencing me to be who I am today, I wouldn't be here. And so when I think of that word, it just rings out volumes in my ear. It makes me think about all of the people who helped me get to where I am. I always tell people that you're looking at now, but you don't know how. And the how is the process of influence. People influence you in life to become who you are. And it's the reason why that I'm here today, because of Jay and Jacob. These guys are young men that I had the pleasure of influencing in my program. And then I get to come back and be a part of the things that I see them doing, and they're passing it on as well. So, thinking about my life and the people, the coaches, the great Pistol Pete Maravich, I always tell people that was the greatest influence on my life, that changed my life, gave me a different direction of life, gave me a different perspective of life, helped me understand the importance of life, understanding the difference between the game of basketball and the game of life. That all started with Pistol Pete. But then my adopted father is my greatest influence in becoming a man of integrity. He's a man of integrity. He's a hard worker. He provides for his family. He loves people, and he impacts people and influences people. And I think I got that from my adopted parents, so my mom and my dad. But I've always had good coaches that were a good part of my life, great teammates. And I always look at it and say, man, I've been blessed. God has put good people in my life that have influenced me in so many ways that I'm just truly grateful. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Coach Swanson?
Man, everybody's looking at me, and I got to talk after that.
How'd you go first?
I had a lot of the same experience. I feel like my dad was first and foremost in my, as far as impacting me as a young man, and just watching him work, provide for the family, and whether 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, for him to get up and go to work every day, and 10-hour, 12-hour shifts, whatever they were, in manufacturing. And my mom, the same way, worked a similar job, and then getting to be, I'm a younger brother, so watching my older brothers grow up, athletics were a huge part of who we were. Because first of all, I think it was easy for our parents to go do this so we can get our stuff done. But it also put us around good people, good coaches, people that had similar goals, things like that. Kept us, for the most part, out of trouble, and like I said, gave us a common interest to really bond and create long-time friendships. So I still think back, like you're reminiscing a little bit about past coaches, and Gary Thomas was a high school coach of ours, and Dennis Gall was our JV coach, and I still remember meeting with them before my senior season and talking about how you could be a really good coach someday. And I was like, I hadn't really thought about that being something in my life. My older brother went to school for business, and so you start to try to think of some other things. Maybe you're trying to make money or whatever, and so that was the first real thought of that. And then, fast forward to where I am now, getting the opportunity to lead a program and a lot of young men to try to help them, influence them as they move forward, and being great stewards of the community, husbands hopefully someday, and fathers and things like that of what it takes to be at that level. So very appreciative for the opportunity that I have.
Yeah. Coach Jay?
I'm going to take the latter in this situation. I'm going to talk about, because we have two great coaches here that's been doing this for years, I'm going to talk about what it is to be influenced as far as the part of the game, because I think people miss out on that perspective as well. I think my want to be influenced in a good way, great thing that God gave me discernment is one of the things so I would know what's good and what's bad. But I always asked questions. I always wanted to be surrounded by great people, so that way when it was my opportunity to influence others, I made the right decisions and made sound decisions in my eyes of what I felt was good. And so when I think back, because I'm still a little bit young, I got 2 more years left in my 20s. I think back about all the times that I have been influenced, and I'm glad to have Coach Leary, now Coach Swanson, Coach KD, my dad, a couple uncles, here and there that helped me get things going. But I would have to say, really putting my heart in a place to want to be taught, because a lot of people growing up are hard-headed and think you want to figure it out yourself. Yeah. And one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard is, "Dude, you don't have to reinvent the wheel." Yeah. And I was like, that makes so much sense, because it sucks to try to reinvent the wheel and then somebody's already riding around going farther with 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think in this case, being influenced is a superpower in wanting to put yourself in a good position. So
yeah,
that's
awesome. Yeah, you've done it again, Jay. You don't know my questions, but you're perfectly segueing for me. My next kind of question was going to be on influence on player development and mindset. Like Coach Leary, when we were in training earlier today, you mentioned emphasizing that you like to provide positive feedback in the moment to emphasize that hard work is paying off. So my main question in this sort of field is, how do you tailor your influence based on the player's mindset? Because sometimes you might need a player who needs some of that negative maybe, but how do you sort of pick and choose based off the player and the style?
So I really believe that you have to have a foundation of who you are and what you want out of life and want out of a practice, a training session. I was even a teacher at one time. What did I want out of my kids in my classroom? And to me, just a little thought behind that, I had kids in my classroom that were struggling in other classes. And everyone used to, we would have our teachers' meetings, and everyone would come to the meeting and they would be mad at me because they said, "Why isn't that kid struggling in your class, but he won't do any work in my class? I can't get him to do anything, but how are you getting him to do his work?" And so I began to see when I first got into coaching, before it became coaching on the floor, I saw it in the eyes and the hearts of the kid. I always believe, this is really simple for me, if you truly love a kid and want to invest in a kid and get the best out of the kid, you have to go to the heart of the matter first. I never look at a kid and look at his talent. I know somebody that look at talent first and then decide whether they want to work with you, whether you're good enough to play for them, whether you're good enough to be good in life or be great in life. And I always take a step back from it all and I look at the kid. And I say, what's this kid? What's his work ethic? What's his character? Does he really want it? If I get those kind of kids, I always felt like I was going to beat anybody. So I consider myself a guy who develops people and develops basketball players. I don't take kids and say, "Man, he's great. I want him on my team." I actually say, give me that kid who wants it, who's willing to work for it, who has the character, who's willing to develop it, and let's go play against those guys. So for me, I look at it as an opportunity for me to grow and develop kids, and It first became a life thing for me, but then, when I became a coach, it became a coaching thing for me. I just believe one day, when I first started coaching, I took some kids that couldn't dribble and tie their shoes at the same time. They dribbling the ball off the side of the feet. I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do here? But the competitor in me said, you better beat me this year. Right. You better beat me this year. I'm going to get you next year. I'm gonna get you. And my first coaching program, we started out getting our butts kicked, man, and we went to work. I said, let's go to work.
That's
and
awesome.
We went to work, and a couple of years later, we were state champions. And so for me, it's about teaching and developing, understanding the heart and mind of a kid before I even think about developing the skill.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Coach Jay and Coach Swanson, I know Coach Jay and I have talked about this on this podcast, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts as well. Coach Swanson a lot of people believe that coaches lead through authority, but I think a lot of us believe it's through influence. So
Yes.
How do you strike that balance, and how do you kind of pick and choose when to be authoritative and when to sort of hone in on what the player needs that time?
I think Coach touched on the biggest part of coaching and teaching and stuff like that is having an understanding of who your kids are, building that relationship with them. And I hope that's what I'm building here at Anderson, of really connecting with parents, community, having guys like y'all come in and work with our kids and giving them different exposure to different things. And I think through building those relationships gives you those opportunities where you don't have to be authoritative. They understand what your influence is, your impact on their life. They want to know what you have to say because they care about it. And let's be honest, what puts them all in the gym at the same time? They all enjoy playing basketball, right?
Yes.
We all have a common interest that
right.
brings us together,
Right.
which is what makes it so fun. And I have a similar teaching story. Like I don't teach what most teachers would say the top echelon of
Right.
students in my classroom, but for the most part, I think they enjoy coming to my class
Right.
for one reason or another. But more than anything, I'm just excited about who they are as people, or
Exactly.
getting to know them a little bit rather than just, here's the formula we got to learn today and
Right.
figure it out or else type of thing.
Yeah.
And so obviously basketball-wise, we're trying to compete and win games, but if you don't have kids that are willing to work hard and make sacrifices, Coach said it to the kids this morning about there's going to be sacrifices along the way,
Gotcha.
and we're all making it. And, leading by example of I'm always here to open the gym, I'm always here for the kids, like, my phone's always on,
Yeah.
ready to communicate if they need anything, things like that. So
Yeah.
I think all of that plays a role in building that relationship and creating that opportunity.
Yeah. Coach Jay?
Yeah, for me, now that I've just gotten out of that stage of life, I think it's having the kids know and understand how much you truly care about them. So from a coaching perspective on my end, I try to look at each kid as a present, right? And so it's crazy to come downstairs and we just had Christmas, just had
Right.
holidays, and then you don't have a lot of toys. And you're just like, okay, but then you have like a lot of presents and you like super excited. So I try to have all the kids feel like they're that one present you're super excited about.
That's awesome.
Now, in the retrospect of having toys, I was always the kid that looked at the manual before everybody played. So you have some kids that get the toy and it's a Superman toy and they're like, flying around with their hand, but then you never know it's a button that you press and then it flies by itself. And so I try to take the kids and try to figure out how they can fly by themselves instead of just moving them around. So I look at the manual of each one of those kids and try to build them out that way. So that way they can enjoy themselves as a present instead of like, they see the perspective of you instead of, because at this point, like, they really don't have a perspective themselves on anything besides what's going on TV. So,
Yeah, that's a great point.
Can I add this thing that from a psychological perspective that always bothered me about coaching and teaching? Somehow the authoritative person believe that they care more than the kid. You see, I think that's where the biggest issue is. That kid is bad for a reason because he cares. He's just acting out differently or the wrong way, right?
Right.
That kid that goes somewhere and cry because they fail, He cares.
That's a bar.
People are taking what's supposed to be not caring and misconstruing it to it. They actually care.
Yeah.
So if you show that you care about the kid, it'll change the way they care about themselves, which will give them the effort to want to be better in anything, whether school or basketball, whatever.
Yeah.
So for me, that kid that puts his head down, and he cares. He cares. Now I got to help him understand how to take that caring and be better.
Right.
So that's the difference to me. The authoritative stuff, I don't yell and scream at people for making mistakes, because no one, ever played a game of basketball or done anything in life that doesn't make a mistake. So I just told those guys.
Yeah.
The greatest shooters miss 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
So why am I screaming at you if you miss 1?
Yeah.
Or 2?
Yeah.
Or 3? I don't care. Now make the next 3 and shoot 50%.
Right.
And then you're a great, not good, great player if you go 50%.
Billy Donovan actually just talked about that not too long ago.
Yeah, you should.
He had a player that played 37 minutes in a game, right? And so the player went 2 for 11. Now, mind you, they won the game. He went 2 for 11, missed 9 shots. How many seconds does it take to shoot a shot? Should be maybe 2, if we're from there. So he's like, you're mad at 18 seconds in the game when you played 37 minutes of a good. So once he took that perspective, and that player ended up having like a crazy tear for like the next couple of weeks, which is I thought that was pretty dope.
Yeah. We put too much value on missed shots and failure than we should using that moment or that opportunity to build something in them.
Right.
That's all right. Let's go.
Exactly.
Make up for it in another area. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I always think back to a couple years ago when Giannis, I forget which round they lost in, but he had that great answer where, someone asked him if he considered the season was a failure.
Right, exactly.
And, his answer has just stuck with me in any stage of life, is that just because you miss your ultimate goal doesn't mean it was all a failure.
No.
You still worked really hard to get there and to achieve some things. So, Coach Leary, I wanted to ask, as you were talking, I just thought, has that evolved for you as a coach over the years? When you were a young coach, were things different? How long did it take, and how did your influencers like Pistol Pete, how did they change your philosophy over time?
I want to say the thing that I had to make the biggest adjustment about, and I told this to Coach Jay when he called me about he wanted to do Coach start a program.
Yeah.
The biggest adjustment you have to make is expectation.
Right.
I think once you make the adjustment of expectation, everything else falls into place.
Mm-hmm.
See, if you start a team and you say, I expect for us to win every game, then you're an idiot. Because you ain't going to win every game. You don't know what your competition is. You don't know what you're going to go against. And so I never had that expectation. My expectation was to set the bar for each kid to be the best they were capable of being, and that looked different for every kid.
Right.
So when I first started coaching, it didn't always happen for me when I went into the gym, I saw what I had. I still do it today when I do tryouts in the AAU. I go in the gym and I see what I got, and I immediately form my level of expectation.
Right.
I might say to my other coaches, yeah, gonna be a long one for you this year. And that's just to let them know, hey, you might start out taking some L's, but we're going to work. And if we work and we turn that corner in the summer and people have gotten better, I always saw it as a win.
Yeah.
So it's about expectation, and it's about, in the end, your perspective.
Right.
In the end, I always saw winning as improvement, growth and improvement, not the win, not the outcome.
Right.
You have to lower your expectation
and
understand what it is that you can get out of those kids.
Yeah.
Some years I had some really good teams and I expected to win. I was excited, like, we gonna get everybody that got us this year. I got some dogs with me. I got some wolves behind me. But there were years where I thought, all right, let's see what we can do with this group, so expectation and perspective.
Yeah, I don't know who coined it, but I've always stuck with the term, the phrase success is a function of expectations.
That's exactly right.
Because even as a sports fan,
That's
like,
exactly right, yeah.
as a Spurs or a Longhorns fan, if
Yeah.
every fan would just be like, what are my expectations
Exactly.
for this season? And then when you don't win the championship, maybe you won't be as let down. But I know preaching to sports fans
Well,
isn't
that's,
easy.
I
like
was
the
talking
John
to
Wooden-
Swanson earlier about that. Asking about his
yeah.
team and where
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
at. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we're not where we want to be,
Right.
but
Yeah,
We'll
we're
get
building.
there.
I mean, we're building. There's
yeah, we're
no
building.
question.
That's exactly right.
You know, relative to our guys, like we've experienced more wins, more close battles, things like that as the season's gone along. But our conversation continues to be, it's not about the wins and losses, because if it is, you're going to be inevitably disappointed at the end of the year,
Right.
and it has to be about the process you're going through.
Absolutely.
Whether it be the relationships you're building with your brothers around you, or the work you're putting in, or whatever else, like seeing the improvement that you make as a group or as
Absolutely.
an individual. Like, if you're not realizing those things, I think you're missing out on a big part of it.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we still want to try to win and compete because it's a lot of fun to do that.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, if that's all you're chasing, you're going to be empty,
Yep.
right? And
Yeah.
like the John Wooden of what he defines success is more about, did you do the best that you could?
That's right.
And if you did the best that you could, then you have to call that success.
Yep.
Right.
So if me as a coach ever gets frustrated as an older coach now, a more experienced coach, it's more about, are the kids truly giving their best
That's
or
right.
not, or what I feel, because I've seen them at their best, right? And do I feel like they're giving their best effort? Are they engaged the way they should be, and things like that? Those are the things where I'll get onto them more about, but it's not, missing shots is missing shots,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Turnovers are going to happen, mistakes are going to happen, those things happen, but how are you going to respond to it? What's the next possession like? Are you going to put your head down and your hands up, or are you going to, win the first 3 steps going back the other way?
Right.
That's right.
So,
I always get, I go watch a lot of games every Tuesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday. The doors open at a game. I go watch a lot of games. I'm always most disappointed in the coach that pulled the kid for missing the shot, that pulled the kid for making a mistake. And I'm thinking to myself, as a coach, at the end of the game, if you don't go back and see all the mistakes you made as a coach, and you're blaming it on these kids' mistake, you'll never win.
Right. Right.
You'll never win.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, what if they place that same expectation on you? as a
Exactly.
coach?
Exactly.
Right.
You were trying
win
to do
every
something.
game or you
You was
fired.
like, yeah, win every game. We're gonna go get the lacrosse coach, and he's gonna come in here and coach your team next week because you can't figure it out. That would be crazy.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all
So-
about perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because y'all have sort of various years of experience. Obviously, the 3 different age groups here. But I wanted to ask Coach Jay in particular. I don't know how many years you've been coaching now, but do you feel like in your time coaching, your philosophy has evolved so far?
Yeah, actually, it definitely has because I started getting into coaching and development at a little bit of a younger age when my body moved a lot better. So I was expecting kids to move. Try to be as quick as me, and I was comparing the kids to me at first because I just got done playing, like I just took the shoes off, right? And so it took me a while to have the shoes off to say, like, I didn't start off how I was right now either. So why would I place that same expectation on the kid?
Right.
And so I think now I've evolved in my short tenure of now maybe a year and a half of coaching and development. I think my perspective has really changed, and it's only changed because I have Coach Swanson, I have Coach Leary, I have Coach KD, I have Brandon, people that I can reach out to that can say, hey, you thinking about it the right way, like you need to take the shoes off of your feet and be done,
Yeah.
and let them do it and just guide them the right way, the same way that like we have guided you.
Yeah.
So I think that has been the evolution for me, taking the shoes off me and putting them on the other kids and giving them the opportunity that maybe I could have never gotten, or maybe I've been there before and helped them navigate it a better way.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that Coach Swanson said to us early on when we started this was you're entering a very crowded, saturated
Yes.
world of basketball.
That's exactly right.
And you need to sort of be able to naturally make a name for yourself
That's
because
exactly right.
everybody has so many options about who their kids play with.
Mm-hmm.
But as me and Jay have found out, it's who you're going to be the most genuine with that you can, relate to and people will come back to you. So Of course, we couldn't leave this podcast without talking about legacy. Of course, legacy hoops. We always talk about it. We roll it into every single topic we have on this show. But I guess for whoever wants to go first, we talked about grades. We talked about being a good man, a good husband one day. But what kind of lasting impacts do you hope to see on your players? When you were their coach, might see them 5-10 years later, and you think, oh, wow, that really paid off. Has there been anything in particular that you feel off the court has been the most important?
Swanson got to hit this one first.
We've gotten some eye rolls from parents, there's no question in the past. But the guy that I used to coach underneath at Anderson High School, Daniel Pittsford, always said, and it's crazy at this school because this school is so academically driven. But he wants this time in Anderson basketball to be the toughest thing that they've ever done in their life. And the parents will be like, do you understand what they're doing out there? Like, you understand the expectation, all that stuff? But then guys come back. We bring alumni around as much as we can, and they come back and they're like, man, college was a breeze. Anytime I hit a difficult situation or whatever, like, I've been through 10 times worse of a situation of being in basketball season, having 3 AP tests, and you're going to play a rival school and all those different things. Multiple hours of practice, all the things that you're putting into that, sacrificing time away from friends and all that so that you can go achieve these goals. Well, when you're in college, you got one thing to focus on, right? And so it became really easy for them. And the same then beyond, like, there's a gentleman that's in the gym right now playing that I used to coach as a receiver, and now he's got a family that he's growing and all that stuff. And I think all those tough situations that you go through as a man, as an adult, hopefully the kids that have all gone through this program are prepared for those.
Right.
They might not know exactly what to do in those situations, but they know a response, and they know that they can get through it if they put their mind to it, if they work hard, if they communicate, and trust the people around them.
Key word that you said right there that actually really rung out to me was response. A lot of people don't do that. Sometimes you get smacked in the mouth, you just sit there waiting to see where blood's gonna come from, right? So you never really get a chance to respond in the first place. And I think now where a lot of things are given to you or is placed in your lap where they tell you what to do, having your own response is super, super key. Super, super key. And so to go off of Nate's question about what impression that you want to lead, I think what we do very well at Legacy is we give the kids an open dialogue to talk about their development individually and then development as a group, not just on the floor but off the floor as well. And we keep that communication open with the parents too. And so the conversations that we have with the kids, not even involving basketball, helps them do a ton better on the court and let them know that they have people around them that support them and then actually care about them. I think once we're all said and done with each class and each group that we have, people are going to want to come back and be a part of Legacy for the younger ones behind them because of the open door and the communication, and because when they respond, we respond back in a loving and correcting manner. So I think that's a good legacy that we are continuing to leave and grow. And that's from me all the way to Coach Jake, Coach Eric, Coach Ali, our whole staff, everybody. So
I'm the old head here, so probably it's funny you asked that question because this is Sunday, with the 5th. I could probably be doing a whole lot of things today, but the greatest joy for me is being here with these guys.
Yeah.
It's part of the legacy.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to coach a lot of kids looking back over the past 30 years. And I'm able to reflect back now and a lot of kids are fathers and mothers and fathers. Beyond that, they're doctors and lawyers and all different types of fields. They're coaches. We still have kids playing professionally. So I think for me, I love his title of his organization. It's about legacy, leaving a legacy. And I always looked at leaving a legacy as the roots of a tree. It's hard to imagine that a tree starts with a seed and the seed doesn't. You don't have to like throw a lot of seeds to get that tree. One produces many, and that's what legacy is all about.
Yeah.
And it's how deep you dig your own roots that allow for the roots to spread to others.
Yeah.
And I think I just feel blessed and fortunate that I've been able to dig deep enough to impact some people, some young men, some young women, enough that they're continuing the legacy of impacting young people, being great human beings, being great fathers and mothers. And so for me, that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah.
And there's no greater joy than I have today in responding to that question than being on a podcast and doing a clinic with guys that played for me.
Yeah, totally.
So it's my greatest joy of this new year. So.
It's very interesting when you look at, like, you know, just like you mentioned, having players you coach being fathers and parents now, and family, and we think about blood being very cyclical and you know, circle of life, but just what you just described feels like the circle of life as well. You know, Pistol Pete coached you, and he influenced you and gave you some tough lessons that you told us earlier about in practice, and then you've taken that and now passed it down to guys over the years, Jay and Jake, and now they're passing it down to kids who were kids when we were kids, or who weren't even born when we were kids.
That's right.
And here they are. They're very young and impressionable, and it's been awesome to see. So I think I might know your answer to this one, Coach Leary, but for Coach Jay and Coach Swanson, looking back at your own career, who would you say was the most influential person in your development as a player and a coach?
So I'd say Pistol Pete influenced me, but the greatest influence in my life is the man that found me in the gym. It's my coach, my high school coach, that found me, saw something in me, and took me to Pistol Pete camp. That man's name is Dave Stallman, and Dave lives in Missouri, and we still keep in touch today. He's like a father figure to me. We talk basketball, we talk life. He's as proud of me today as he was the day that he saw me in the gym as a little hood rat kid who he somehow saw potential in, that navigated a path for me to become who I am today. So Dave Stallman is the man that I give tremendous amount of credit to for seeing something in me. And I just try to do that same thing for kids. I try to look beyond the talent and the skill and whatever, and I just see what can become of that person if I invest myself into them. So.
Right.
You can go.
I mean, for me, it still goes back to my dad is my biggest influencer. Just seeing how to live life, I guess, of how to work hard and pour into others, I guess. On the court and as a coach, obviously I had a lot of great coaches growing up, but it really wasn't the reason. They weren't necessarily the reason that got me into it. It was family, being around friends and things like that, and finding common interests, and so it always circles back to that. I know all my conversations with our parents and things like that is we always break out the family as a team, because that's what it always was for me.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. And I think, trying to grow as a coach and everything like that, I'll always go back to John Wood and a lot of the stuff that he preached even after coaching.
Of course.
Of how to be a leader of others and hard worker and all that, and having the right mindset as you're going through stuff. I always use that as my foundation. But then, like you said, we all make mistakes. Every game I know I make mistakes as a coach. And so going back to try to learn from those mistakes, continue to be a student of the game, continue to be a student of life, and trying to learn and figure out, because kids are kids, whether it's today or 20 years ago, but there's no doubt that there's a different way to be able to communicate and reach kids.
Of course.
Than from when I was a kid growing up. And so just the people around you, the teachers around you that are really good, they all have an impact and influence on how you go about day-to-day life.
So, I mean, from this conversation, you can just tell from the analogies and et cetera that this man have had a lot of conversations growing up. So I would say between like basketball-wise and then just from being an impressionable young man, of course my dad was always there. He had a foundational impression on me and influence on me. But between Coach Stephon Leary and Coach Kendrick Davis, you can just tell, like the whole conversation mindset of how to develop and make people become leaders. Definitely Coach Leary, and then just the swag, how to reach out to kids, like just the interactions, the high fives, just the whole vibe. That all came from Coach KD, and so without those two guys, our legacy wouldn't be born. Just the identity of who we are and who we ain't. That like they both stem from those guys. As well, and I'm happy that I got a good mix of two good coaches that were able to make that impact on me. Because I mean, we were just talking about it last night. He at his max before COVID hit had 17 teams. So like 17 teams were part of this program. And then Coach KD just opened up the principal first facilities with 2 gyms. You know, he has 3 or 4 teams, his younger teams on the national team, and to be able to walk on those shoes with our head held high for a first year summer program and just the accolades that we're going to hit starting off with 2 teams and et cetera, it's super exciting. So yeah, that is pretty dope.
Awesome. Well, I have one more question for y'all, sort of related to legacy, but it's sort of maybe a basketball nerd question. You know, lots of talk about the game of basketball right now. Whatever, ratings don't really matter, but you know, a lot of people in the game of basketball are talking about the evolution of it right now. So, if you could influence one change in how the game of basketball is played or coached, what would it be? It's a tough one, I know, and you can take a while.
It's not that tough. It's how long do you have?
As long as you need.
Because, man, you know, I'm a little bit older, so I miss the purity of the game. It doesn't matter what game you watch today, I'm not so sure I'm watching basketball.
Right.
It looks like I'm watching pickup ball. Because now we're living in an analytical age where analytics is driving the game, not the passion and love for competition.
Correct. We're
not competing against each other to be great. We want to see how many numbers we can get, how far we can shoot. I mean, to have a goal of shooting 100 threes in games between 2 teams, well, where's the compare? I'm not letting you shoot.
And they might be incentivized
to make. I don't even understand like how that's a rule when the way that I was taught was you don't let that dude shoot. We're competing.
Yeah.
But they just let each other just come down and jack shots, and there's no the structure, the actions and reactions of the game it's gone. It's gone. Yeah. And people are getting assists not off of creating the play. You get an assist for passing it to somebody who just jacks a shot up. If you make it, he make it. If he miss it, he miss it. But you didn't have to create that. See, back in the day, when you were forced to be a point guard, you were forced to make a play to get somebody else open. They've taken away all of that, and it's more driven by analytics, statistics. So the competitive nature of the game of basketball is losing its feather, and that's why you see numbers and ratings going down, because it's hard to watch. If you're just going to just pass it up and down the floor like we had LA Fitness or Lifetime and everybody just catching and jacking a 3, I can go to LA Fitness and Lifetime and watch that. I mean, what are we watching here?
Yeah.
So, and that's I guess I miss the purity of the game. The purity of competitive greatness is missing from the game, in my opinion. And then on a lower level, I think kids are not committed to the work to be great anymore. That it's too video games and phones and stuff have taken away from kids just getting in the gym. So That's why it was great for you guys doing a great job here, and Coach facilitating that through his program to open the gym up, to have somebody open the doors, to make his kids get in the gym. You know, you got to get back to that competitive greatness and that work that it takes to be great. And I believe that, the coach that sees that and facilitates that path for kids to be great is going to be the programs that ultimately become the top programs in the city and the state again. There are too many people motivated by talent right now, and if you got talent, you're good, and if you don't have talent, you're bad.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the way it should be. I mean, some talent isn't everything. Talent
Right.
is something, but it's not everything. You have to teach the game, you have to demand the game, structure the game, but it can't not go anywhere without the level of commitment and hard work to be great.
Right.
And it's missing. I miss that part of it. For me, it's hard to go. I watch a lot of games. I was at a game yesterday, two teams playing, and one team had 3 Division I players, and the other team doesn't have any, and the other team wins. Right? So because talent doesn't really
Right.
mean anything.
Right.
It just don't today. It's you can beat people off of the coaching and playing the game the right way. So those are my pet peeves of, I got a group of guys that I'm still in a group text with 20 of my former teammates from college when I played in college. I'm also in a group text with guys that played in college with me, and we're always talking about the game. Their kids are now playing basketball, and so they're like, Coach, let me ask you something. Coach, they don't make kids do the stuff you made us do anymore, man. This thing's changed. I'm like, so those are my little pet peeves, man. I wish we would get back to a place where the game of basketball looked like basketball. Right. An exciting play for me is not, somebody dunking. An exciting play for me may be a screening action with a shooter coming off the screen, rotating the ball around, knocking it down. And I like seeing basketball.
Yeah.
And it's just missing today. So
I agree.
I think for me, if I could alternate something or change it, for me it would be the the hard nosed play. A lot of kids don't take pride in like who they are enough to say like I'm gonna stop this person in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if there's a loose ball on the floor, a lot of these kids it's not good on IG if they see you diving on the floor, you got a little blood on your jersey, you know what I mean? And so having kids that or even in the league right now, like if Jason Tatum took dove on the floor for a basketball, the whole world would be in shambles because he's like, dude, he's gonna mess up the season. It's a lot. Instead of making a game winning play. So, especially with all the technology and things that people have to recover or et cetera, I think putting your body on the line or stepping up and making a hard play and taking pride in what you're doing, I think that should be pushed up a little bit more instead of, like Coach said, just I can take this guy one-on-one for about 15 seconds on the shot clock and then do a step back three and then you make it and then turn around and you got 100,000 likes. I'd rather see a kid fight through a screen, get a steal, and then get a fast break layup. You know what I'm saying? That stuff is really hard. You ask a kid to run through a screen now, they're gonna be like, who, where, through him? You know what I mean? There's a lot of questions behind it. So
yeah,
that's me.
Yeah,
Coaches in the throes of it.
I don't know if there's a change that can be directly made. I think the mindset of what you're talking about. Maybe you got to shrink the rim diameter, or make the ball bigger. So I don't know what you got to do, but to help lower the percentages because people are so skilled now. There's because of that emphasis. There's so much more on shooting and skill development on the perimeter, where there's more value in putting points on the board. Post play isn't the same, all that stuff, and so I don't know what it is specifically. I think we're talking a lot about NBA and that most visible form, and so I don't know if it's getting rid of defensive 3 seconds. I don't know, cutting games down or whatever it is, but the grit of you're gonna love this as a C's fan. Like I'm thinking about what basketball recently has looked most like what Coach Leary's talking about. And you can go to the Spurs
first,
right? And then probably from like when Tim Duncan and those guys were all in their glory days, right?
Mhm.
But then most recent is probably the C's, right? The Celtics of like
Big green
moving
baby.
the ball, creating advantages, trying to get 2 to guard 1, being a good teammate, passing the ball right, making multiple passes to find an open look. And now they still shoot a lot of threes, but it's not necessarily come down and jack as much as let's see how many guys can touch the ball first and create a really good opportunity for our teammates.
Yeah.
And then I think building off of that, the toughness thing.
Yeah.
My favorite of all the Celtics to watch in recent time is probably Marcus Smart. And I know he's not there anymore, but like that, just this guy's not going to score on me.
Right.
You know, that mentality of I'm going to make sure I guard mine first. And I think for our high school kids, I say it a lot, is like you have to have pride
Right.
in taking care of this responsibility. Like if you're going to need help at times, but if you need help every single possession, you're not taking enough pride in your job, right? And what that is to compete for that space on the floor or to protect your basket, things like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned Marcus Smart. I think of Tony Allen and those Grizzlies
yeah.
teams.
Well,
Like
you going
as a
back,
Spurs
yeah.
fan, they beat us when we were the 1 seed. They were the 8 seed. They had like talent wise, it was like Zebo and those guys. I mean, they're not knocking down. Like they're just not letting you score, and that was the hardest part. I'm gonna give Jake a shout out because he's over here yelling off mic about the Warriors. And I agree that I do think the Warriors kind of picked up that Spurs mantle when Steph was in his prime. And definitely, they ran the ball. They passed the ball a lot more, but now it's a little bit more reliant on Steph. But
No, I think honestly, I don't mind the way the Golden State Warriors play, but they fed into the system
sure,
because they went and got nothing but perimeter guys, got rid of a post.
right,
Draymond Green became the post,
yeah,
who got the ball to shooters.
right,
So they were the ones that kind of fed this mentality of just shooting. They moved the basketball to get shots,
Yeah.
but they're playing a different brand of basketball than
True.
everybody else, but it's caught up with them.
yeah,
It's caught up with them. You know?
Yeah.
You think about, you mentioned the Spurs,
mm-hmm.
who play the game the right way. I absolutely love Popovich and the way the Spurs played. The Spurs beat the 3 Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was one of the
LeBron,
greatest years ever.
Dwayne
yeah.
Wade, and Chris Bosh.
Yeah,
They beat them. And if Ray Allen doesn't make that 3, they beat him 2 straight years, and Ray Allen was going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah,
Charles Lewis was on that team, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Probably level player. My point is, they had way more talent than the Spurs and should not have been able to compete. But
Right.
the Spurs, the way you play the game absolutely
yeah.
matters.
And when they lost to the Heat and they came back, they could have given up the next
They
year.
came
They
back
could have
strong.
thrown it in, and I think that's still the most beautiful basketball I've watched. 2014.
Yeah.
I think it might be still the biggest margin of victory in the finals.
Oh, yeah, it is still. It still
And
stands
it's just
today.
every game was like 25, like Patty Mills, like all these
blew
people
them out.
and casual NBA fans would think they were random guys, but they were all perfect for that system. So, well, we're getting to the end here. Been going on about 45 minutes, so I really appreciate y'all coaches joining us today. Y'all have
Absolutely.
anything else you want to add about influence before we jump off?
No.
Oh, well, I have something to say before we get up out of here. One, this is actually a very special episode, and I want to start the new year off this way because, believe it or not, for people that may hear it in the future and the ones that listen now, we all definitely appreciate all the people that subscribed. Y'all don't understand. Legacy is here to stay. And the reason why Legacy is here to stay is because we have a strong background with people like Coach Swanson, who actually genuinely care about like the kids that he puts us through and his mindset and his heart towards, what we're doing to just even, for God allowing him to open up the doors and giving a lot of people the platform. There's a lot of people that, I'm not saying we have the best heart, or anything. There's a lot of people that might have a better heart or et cetera, and we're still growing, but they don't have the platform and the opportunity. So definitely huge gratitude to Coach Swanson for giving us a platform to being able to do this. And then also, y'all don't understand, like Coach Leary, we call him the guru, and it's a lot of, we can name drop a ton of people, but just to be extended from from that legacy of basketball lineage is crazy. Like, we talk about Pistol Pete, who crazy numbers, $1 million man. Like, we can go down the whole line yards, but to have that be connected and then that be connected to our program, it's crazy. I mean, everybody knows we're Christian, and so when you read the Bible and you have people that come from different lineages and you go down the line and see, you know, the type of royalty that great men in the Bible have came from and what they've done is no different than what we're doing here. Our program and what we're doing comes from basketball royalty. And so to have you guys be able to sit here and have this conversation, I mean, when we listen back on this a couple of years from now, it's going to be dope because, you know, it's going to be in front of a stage, in front of a whole bunch of people. And that's just my vision and what I see for what we're growing. So I love y'all, appreciate y'all, and thank you for a great podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
the opportunity to be here. Like I said from the very beginning, this is big for me. I could be anywhere, but I wouldn't rather want to be anywhere else than helping these guys out, get their program started. And I really appreciate Coach Swanson and like Coach Jay said, I don't have a coach. I know all of the coaches in the Katy area. Because I've been coaching for so long, I knew them when they were in high school. None of them invite me into their gym to run my program or to do a clinic or train. They'll send kids to me, but no one brings me over to their gym. For you to do that, I think is very big of you. It shows the kind of passion that you have and desire you have for building your program and getting your kids extra work. And so, again, I would rather be nowhere else than here. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And truly have enjoyed this opportunity. So
Yeah, state championship coming for Anderson High School.
yes,
Y'all
sir.
stay on the lookout.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think just to wrap it up, if you were to look at Jay's and I text back and forth, it would be like, appreciate you so much. Appreciate you so much. Whether it be me to him or him to me or vice versa, just mutual respect for each other and grateful for the opportunity that's presented for our kids and everything that y'all are doing for us. So
Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime.
Well, I feel like it's mutual. Thanks y'all so much for joining us, and thanks for everyone listening. We'll be back with episode 4 soon.
Yeah, watch out who's influencing you.
There you go.